Hi guys, welcome. I'm going to run through our Chapter 3 tax return. Be sure to do Chapter 3 problems part 2 first because there is a tax return in that assignment and I go over it line by line. So in this video, I'm just going to go over the few items that weren't covered in that tax return. So be sure to do it first. So the additional items that we have in this tax return, making it a little bit different, is first of all, we have a dependent and we have a child tax credit. The other difference is that we have more interest income and we have tax exempt interest and we have jury duty and workers' comp. So I'll run through these here. Usually you basically want to start with the items all the way to the right. Certainly page 1 is all of the general information, so you can enter that. I go line by line through it in the other return. But the difference is that this time we're going to have a dependent listed right under this dependent section. And we have to say why we have the dependent. Like, why are we reporting it? Because you no longer get to take a personal exemption. So here we can see child tax credit, and you check that child tax credit. Or if it's for other dependents, other credits, you can check here. So they want to know which one it's for. We know we have the child tax credit, so you're going to check there. So now to cover these other items, the things we didn't go over in the other return was Schedule B and Schedule 1. So Schedule B is for interest and dividends over $1,500. So our box 1 for 1099 interest is well over $1,500. Our tax exempt interest doesn't count into this Schedule B requirement. And you'll see on the Schedule B, you'll only include the regular taxable interest from the bank. And the summation stops here. It's all added up here. We have no Series E or U.S. savings bonds issued after 1989. So we don't need to subtract anything out. It's the same number. And then nothing for dividends. From there, really quickly, I'll go over to the 1040. So you can see that number coming from Schedule B, taxable interest, to here. And our tax exempt interest, as you can see on these lines right here, is reported over here. So we have no dividends in this problem, so you don't have to worry about calculating dividends outside of the regular taxable income. And those dividend rates do not apply to interest. So you don't have that special leaving the dividends out when you look up regular income tax in the tax table. We don't have that applying here. You may see how sometimes it shows different, there's like a little pop-up of a summation, like right here, this yellow thing. You want to make sure that you have pop-ups on. You can look up whatever browser you're using and Google how do you allow pop-ups, and that is what allows those different directions to be displayed. Okay, so is jury duty taxable? It is, right? It's just a substitute pay. Now, is workers' compensation taxable? Workers' compensation, unlike unemployment, isn't taxable. So unemployment compensation is taxable. With workers' compensation, the person has typically been injured on the job and is getting workers' compensation because of that. And so because they were hurt at work and qualify for this insurance, they don't have to pay taxes on it. It's kind of a state fund on behalf of the workers. And so even though the employer pays for it, it's for the benefit of the workers when something negative has happened to them. So I think that's the logic behind it not being included in tax. But jury duty, on the other hand, is included in tax. So we'll check out Schedule 1. Here we have our jury duty on line 21. You enter in jury duty or select it from the drop down and then put in the amount, the subtotal. If you have anything on these bottom lines for adjustments to income, then you will subtotal all the way down. But if not, you stop here on line 22. You can read line 22. Combine the amounts in the far right column. If you don't have any adjustments to income, enter here and on Form 1040, line 6. Otherwise, if you do have amounts to adjust, go on to line 23. All right, so that's where we stop. We just have our jury duty. And so now you can see we have two things attached for one loan number. So we have our interest, our taxable interest, non-taxable, and then we come down to line 6, and right here on F, we have the amount coming. You can see equals Schedule 1, H21, the amount coming from our Schedule 1. And so line 6 is, read over here, total income, add lines 1 through 5, plus any amount from Schedule 1, line 22. Then line 7 is adjusted gross income. So we're going to take this amount minus any amounts from Schedule 1 and put it on line 7. So this is our adjusted gross income. So next we get to choose standard or itemized deductions. We weren't told any itemized deductions, right? So you just choose the standard from the left over here. And then subtract that out for line 10, taxable income. So from here, you need to calculate the tax using the tax tables. They didn't even give you the schedules because it's under 100,000. And be sure you don't need to subtract out dividends because we don't have dividends or other capital gain special tax rates, which we'll talk about in more detail. So you get down here, and this is just the total of the tax from tax right here. And line 12, child tax credit. So they just told you they're entitled to a $2,000 tax credit. Just enter it in the spot. We'll be learning more about tax credits later on in the course. So you just enter that $2,000 tax credit, repeat it on line 12, and any other amounts from Schedule 3, which we're not looking at right now, other credits. And so then we have here, you can see subtract our total tax minus any amounts for these taxes, and that equals, now we're down to $8,464. And so you can see how valuable a tax credit is versus a deduction in income. A credit reduces those taxes dollar for dollar versus a deduction on Schedule 1 just reduces the income upon which you figure out the total tax number. So just keep reading down here. You follow the instructions. Other taxes, we don't have those. So total tax becomes that number. Federal income tax withheld, W-2 and 1099. So you should know how to add up that total and total up your payments. And so now you have either an amount due or amount you overpaid. So just read these instructions. If line 18 is more than line 15, subtract line 15 from line 18. That's the amount that is overpaid. And in this case, we did indeed overpay, right? Line 17 is more than line 15. So they have a refund. All right, that's all. Let me know if you have any questions. See you in the next video.